Welcome to Literally My Life, My Guide to Girlhood. I'm your host, Alexandra Lamine, here to talk all things faith, girlhood, and everything in between. This podcast is about navigating life with purpose, leaning into lessons God places before us, and celebrating the beauty of becoming. Whether it's chasing dreams, conquering challenges, or growing in faith, I'm here to remind you that with God, all things are possible. We're building a community where girlhood meets greatness, where we keep it real, inspire each other, and give all the glory to God for the journey we're on. So let's dive into another episode and do life together, one conversation at a time.
Hello, and welcome back to yet another episode of Literally My Life, My Guide to Girlhood. I am so excited to be recording our second episode since the rebrand, and it feels so good and so fulfilling to be back and to be sitting down and recording episodes and interacting with you guys. And I just have to say, I want to thank you guys so much for all the love on the rebrand on last week's episode. I was really trying something new last week. Now, I didn't end up loving it the way I thought I would, but I definitely want to keep some of the ideas from last week and some of the last segments. So if you guys were like huge fans of that, let me know, but it was all right. Okay, so as you can tell by the title, today we are going to be talking, or really just discussing, we're going to have like a very reassuring girl talk. It's going to be like a very intimate conversation between you and me. And we're going to be basically not weird. I'm going to be here reassuring you guys on how life is going to be okay and how God has got you. I know I'm definitely one of those people where I think everything has to be going on a specific timeline, and if things aren't going this way in this time, then it's never going to happen. And I know I definitely struggle with doubt. Like, I have the faith of a mustard seed sometimes. Is that it? Faith of a mustard seed sometimes. And I've really, really grown in my journey and trusting God and being like, you know what? Really trusting God and really getting through that. And I've been so blessed to get through that and have more faith and not really struggle with that doubt anymore, because I've seen time and time again how God has come through for me. And I don't know, it's just been great. I like to say I always like to keep our episodes kind of like aligned with what's going on in my personal life. And as I said, like on our TikTok earlier, and if you don't follow our TikTok, go follow at Literally My Life MGTG on Instagram and TikTok. I was saying on our TikTok earlier when I was getting ready for this episode that I was definitely having a lot of self-doubt recently, and the people that I love around me and God himself really pulled me out of that and really helped me regain my confidence and really helped me get back into like being Alex and being the confident, happy Alex with a bunch of self-esteem, because I had lost her for a little bit, but not a little bit. I lost her for most of the year, but God's really gotten me back and God's really centered me, and it's been absolutely incredible. And I'm just here to help you guys with that. And I want to reassure you guys that this is a safe space, okay? We listen, we don't judge. I love saying that. That's my new like motto or mantra. That's my new mantra. I love that. This is a safe space. Like, nobody here is judging you, and I really want to thank everybody who submits to the Ask Alex. If you don't know what Ask Alex is, it's a segment in our podcast, especially if you're new here, you don't know. It's a segment in this podcast we'll be doing later, where we're basically going to be talking about, you guys submit these questions to me and I answer them as openly and honestly as I can. And you can submit the questions on the Google form in our Instagram bio. So I suggest you do that. But yeah, it's a very open space here. I'm definitely not judging you guys. And I want to thank you guys all for everybody who submits every week or shares those personal stories. And I love that for you guys. And I love you guys. So today is going to be a great conversation. We're going to have an open and honest conversation from your big sister, Alex. I'm going to be there for you. You're going to listen. You're going to receive it in Jesus' name. We're going to have fun. We're going to laugh a little bit. We're going to kick back a little bit. We're going to have so much fun. So let's get into it. Okay, so our first segment of today, I really want to talk about this, are life's unexpected detours. Okay, first thing I'm going to say, I don't know if people really agree with this, but life really goes as planned. Okay, we have delayed dreams, honey. We have those unfulfilled expectations, and those unexpected heartbreaks, those unexpected setbacks. It really goes as planned. Okay, if you had asked me maybe when I was 13, 14, maybe a freshman, what would I be doing my senior year? And what would it look like and what would I look like? I would say I would be a skinny, petite runway model with a gorgeous football playing boyfriend and a full ride to NYU. That didn't happen. I promise you that's what I would tell you. That didn't happen. But just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. There is such importance on releasing control and trusting God's timing. Now, I was watching This Christmas today. This is such a random reference, but my references are always random. I was watching This Christmas today, and if you haven't watched it, great movie, one of my favorites. And Loretta Devine in the movie, she said this saying, like, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans or tell him your timing. And it was so true. Like, you want to hear God laugh? Tell him your timing. Tell him how you think you're going to be a millionaire by 20 years old. God gonna laugh in your face. God's gonna laugh in your face. And the reason some people think God is being cruel. A lot of people think, like, why do I have to live in poverty for the first 20, 25 years of my life? Why do I not get everything that I want? Why wasn't I able to get married early like all of my friends? Or why wasn't I able to become rich very early on? Or why wasn't I able to get these things? And a lot of people look at God and say, well, God maybe just, I'm not one of his favorites, or God doesn't like me. Like, why do I have to continually deal with the setbacks? And everybody in front of me, all my friends are getting married. All my friends are becoming rich. They're investing in businesses. They're inheriting stuff. They're getting into college. They're thriving. Why is it that I am the one that's not achieving as much as the people around me? Like, it's God. God just doesn't like me. People think God is being cruel. God is telling you you're not ready. You aren't ready. If I had gotten every single thing that I wanted, I would have been thrown into stuff that I would not have known how to handle. God will wait until you are the person that he needs you to be, until you are mentally prepared to give you what you need. Not what you want, but what you need. Now, if I had been this skinny petite model at 14 years old and had this skinny football playing boyfriend, I would have been thrown into something that I would not know how to handle. You know why? Because I didn't know myself. When I was 14 years old, my frontal lobe was this big. I didn't know what I was doing. I would have been so confused. I would have been set back. I would have dealt with self-esteem. I would have done so much, and it would have probably led to such unhealthy behaviors and taken me down such a cruel path because I didn't know myself. And not only did I not know myself, but I know God. I didn't know God. Like, you know what I mean? I was so lost. And now that I'm 17 years old, almost 18, I'm a senior in high school, and I've had every experience in the book, and I've had all the friends and all the relationships and all the failure and all the heartbreak and all the setback. I know how to deal with it. And not only do I know how to deal with it, I know me. I have, oh, sorry, I hit the mic. Let me scooch back a little bit. I know me. I know how to deal with things. I know Alex. I know her likes. I know her dislikes. I know how much I love myself. I have like the self-confidence, the confidence, not the ego. I have the self-confidence of like, I don't even know who to compare it to, because you cannot tell me, I promise you, you cannot tell me I'm not the bomb.com. You cannot tell me I'm not all that in a bag of chips, okay? I know myself inside and out. I trust myself. I truly adore myself. I love myself at every stage of my life. I am completely in awe of myself. And not only that, but I'm in complete awe of God. I know to run to God now. A few years ago, I would run to temporary coping mechanisms, and that could have gone down a really, really dark path, and it didn't, because God pulled me through. I know how to run to God now. I'm getting to know God now. I'm becoming a new person now. And I'm starting, and I see as I change as a person, like I said, that man in the mirror theory, we talked about that, and nothing changes unless you change. And if you haven't listened to that episode, baby, go listen to it. We talk about that man in the mirror theory. When you start to change and you start to do better, your circumstances will improve. Won't he do it? And I have to stress again the importance. You got to release control. You got to let God. Let go and let God. And you hear that all the time in church. You're like, let go, let God. Okay, well, what's God going to do? Because he hasn't done it yet. He hasn't been there yet. I've let go, but I still worrying about it. I got a mortgage to pay. I got mouths to put food in. I have children I need to take care of. I have a job that I have so much to do. I have so much responsibility. How am I going to let go and let God? Is God going to pay my rent? Is God going to feed my kids? Is God going to? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. He's going to come through every time in every way. It's hard. I'm not going to sit up here and say it's easy to release that control, because I know some things really bother me. I know some things really get under my skin. I know some things keep me up at night, crawling, thinking, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get past this? What am I going to do? I know it's not easy, but I've woken up and I've thought to myself and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna let go and let God. I can't do it anymore. It can't be Alex sitting up in the middle of the night worrying, killing myself with anxiety. I have to let go and let God. And I have to let him have control over every aspect of my life, not just the aspects I want to give him, but the aspects that, like, everything. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, God, I'm gonna give you my career, but I'm not gonna give you my romantic life. Or, okay, God, I'm gonna give you my academic life, but I'm not gonna give you athletics, or I'm not gonna give you my relationship with my family. I gotta do that, because to me, I have to have that control. I have to be able to put this, that first. I have to be control. It's weird. I know I'm a control freak, so I'm telling you guys I am like an expert in this, because I'm a control freak. I'm a perfectionist. I want things to be perfect. I'm a hard worker. When I get to work, I don't sleep, I don't eat, I don't use the bathroom. It has to be perfect. And I realize, where's that getting me? It ain't getting me no great results. It's not getting me to a place where I want to be. I have to release the control. I thought social media and the podcast would take off very first episode. It's taken 12 months to get to the point where I'm at now. It's taken 12 months for people to recognize me in the street. It's taken 12 months for people to comment on my TikToks or my Instagram, or come to me for advice, or me to get booked for events. It's taken 12 months. I would have thought it would have taken a month. I would have thought I'd take it off the ground in a month, and it's taken 12 months. And I'm so proud about that, because if you have been listening to the podcast, I think you would see my growth from therapy to this episode. So I have to thank him. I have to really, really thank him, because if I didn't trust his timing, I would have gotten something that I couldn't have handled. I've made mistakes since I've done this podcast. I've gotten into public drama, public beef. I have really shaped and changed as a person since then, but if I had the platform a few months ago that I have now, you guys would probably have a different perception of me. I would have been painted as something that I don't need to be. I would have been painted as messy or problematic or whatever, which I am a little bit, but I'm working on it. Won't he do it? And that's, God's protected me. And you're going to look back and you're going to say, wow, he did it with me. I mean, the podcast is proof that God will do it for you. With me, you asked me 2 years ago, sophomore year of high school, would I be a podcast host and be a media personality and be going to these places and taking all these pictures and be a model and all that stuff? I would have laughed in your face. I would have said, what, journalism? No, I'm not a journalist. I'm going to be something completely different. I didn't even think about all that. And then I got sick. And when I got sick, I used to think to God, why, God, I'm missing out on a year of my life. I'm missing out on my friends. I'm missing out on my family. I'm missing out. It was the worst detour in time. And then it led to this. Now I have a career. Now I have people who look up to me. I have people, and I don't even want to get emotional. It makes me it makes me tear up a little bit. I have people who come to me or DM me and say, I love you. You have inspired me. You have saved my life. You've brought me closer to God. You gave me a hug when I really needed one. You've been there for me. I'm like this role model to people. And I never thought that would be me. I never thought this would be my journey. And it has been the biggest blessing. A detour can lead to something unexpectedly good. I would have never thought this would have been my life. Even when I started the podcast, do you think I would get everything I've gotten? Do you think I would have thought I would have ever become a journalist or an influencer? I'd ever have any of the opportunities that I've had? I've gone to Lollapalooza and Summer Smash and all this stuff for free just for my career. I would have never thought this would have been me, ever. I would have never thought these opportunities would have come my way. But God knew it. God knew what was in store for me. And I thank him every day for that. Now, I want to give you guys a Bible verse for this segment. I want to say it's Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. I think that speaks for itself. Won't he do it? God is so good. I love when I'm in church. That's like a very random thought. I love when we're in church and they're like, God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good. That's like my guilty pleasure. Okay, so let's get into our next segment, which is building faith when it's hard. Okay. Now, life, like I said, it has its ups and downs. We have our setbacks, and life feels very uncertain at times, right? And there have been times where I've sat and I've cried and I've talked to God and I've just been like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know where to go next. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know where to start. I don't know where to begin. I don't know what to do. What do I do? And you have to learn. I've learned I got to deepen my faith when life feels uncertain. I was listening to some podcast. Can't remember what it was. I think it was Girl Just Heal. I love the Girl Just Heal podcast. Y'all got to go listen to her. That girl's the bomb. I was listening to Girl Just Heal. I think it was her. And she was talking about how during hard times, she will praise through it. She having a moment, she gonna listen to some gospel music, get through it. She having a moment, she's gonna pray through it. And you think that's corny in the moment, you're like, what? Like, I'm having a panic attack. Like, you want me to pray right now? You want me to put on some Marvin Sapp right now? Like, you want me to, yes, praise through it. Won't he do it? The reason I say to do that is, one, it reassures you deeply because, you're thinking, and I know I struggle with this a lot. I thought, I'm on my own. How do I get through this moment? I'm completely on my own and no one loves me and no one cares about me. I'm alone for the rest of my life. And then I listen to these gospel music or I read the Bible or I pray and I remember, wait, I'm not alone. Like, I have God. I don't have to do this alone anymore. And it feels so good and it feels so reassuring. Another reason is because the more prayer, the more power. That sounds corny too. That's another thing you hear growing up. I don't know if you guys heard it growing up. I know I did. You think, well, what is that going to do? The deeper your relationship is with God, the more powerful you become. Hence, the more prayer, the more power. Now, I've noticed the more godly and the more I pray, the more I listen to worship music, the more I'm in my Bible, the more I'm in my devotional, the more I'm in my bag, the better I am. How do I explain that? I'm better in the way I deal with people. I'm better in the way I deal with conflict, with gossip, with the messiness, with all the day-to-day stuff I deal with all the time. Because like I've said, I have been, oh my God, the center of attention at Whitney Young where I go and been talked about and been dogged and gone through it with people and my name being dragged through the dirt. But I notice as I've learned to trust God, I've learned to trust his outcome and just say, you know what? I don't even have to argue with you. I don't even have to listen to this. I can move on with my life. This does not have to define me or anything going on in my life. I can get past this. Another thing I also really want to mention is seeking support from a community. It could be your friends. Like I said, let me have a problem. I'm going to pick up this phone and I'm going to call Sky. Let me have a problem. Your family. Like I said, I tell my mom and my dad everything. Or you can have mentors. I don't really have one. I have my boss a little bit, but you can have a spiritual mentor, a pastor, a youth group leader, somebody you trust to talk about your problems and learning how to build faith. There's nothing wrong. God wants you to come to him or to someone about your doubts. Doubts are human. There's nothing wrong with having doubts. You're not a bad person or a bad Christian for having doubts. That does not make you a bad person, I promise you. Okay? What makes you lose faith or an unbeliever, I would say, because there's no such thing as a bad Christian in my opinion, is not dealing with your doubts, letting them linger, and then not talking to God, not confronting them, and just doubting. You know what I mean? Seek some support. You going through something? Call somebody. Talk to somebody. Talk to God. Talk to your friends. Talk to your mentors. Tell them, it's okay to get on your knees and cry and just say, you know what, I've been trying for so long. I'm so upset. I put everything I could into this. I've worked so hard and it's not working out. I'm getting up every day and I'm getting through it, but I have a heavy heart, God. I'm getting up every day, but I still feel like a reflection of my past. I still feel the reflection of my trauma. I still feel deep and depressed, and I feel undoubtedly sad, and I still feel hurt, and I still feel anger, God. And I'm getting up every day and I'm working through it, God, but I need your hand on my heart. I need you to restore me, God. I need you to make me new again, God. Like it's so you can do that. I don't even know how to explain that. Like, I feel like I'm lost in this, but you can do that. That's the most powerful way to get through it. And you might think, well, I've been praying and I've been praying and I've been praying and I'm seeing no results. He's going to come through for you. My best example of this is the people when they escaped the slavery in Egypt, the people that Moses and Aaron and them led. Think about them. God, and this is another reference I just thought of. God, when they saw that Red Sea, the Red Sea is huge, right? They saw the Red Sea, how are we going to get to the other side? We're going to go back into captivity. We don't know what we're going to do. You know what God did? He didn't remove the Red Sea. He didn't dry it up. He parted it, and he made them walk through it. Now, God, that's a metaphor to me. And I actually got this metaphor from the beautiful Aubrey Wyatt. I want to give her flowers. May she rest in peace and may she be with God. God won't remove your problems, but he's going to show you a way through them. Won't he do it? And my last tip is practicing patience with yourself and the process of life, okay? You got to forgive yourself for doubting. You got to forgive yourself for being hurt, for being angry, and for whatever. That's one thing I struggle with a lot. I say, why did I doubt God again? Why did I get hurt again? Why did I let everything overcome me again? Why? I get so mad at myself and I become so consumed in myself and I realize it's not about me. It's really not. It's about God. It's not about me. I got to forgive myself. I got to move on because sitting here being stuck in my past and whatever and why I did this, it's not going to get me absolutely anywhere, right? You have to learn how to practice patience with yourself and the process. And I want to say, tell yourself it's okay to hurt. Tell yourself it's okay to cry. Tell yourself it's okay to be upset. It's okay. You're okay. It's okay to be heartbroken. It's okay to have trauma. It's okay to be dumped. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to have doubt. It's okay. It's okay. You are human. Your feelings are human. Practice patience with yourself. Sometimes I get so on guard about my feelings and I get so upset. I say, well, why am I upset right now? I know God's going to come through and he's come through before and he's done me so well before. Why am I so hurt right now? Why am I not focusing on the good in my life? Why am I being ungrateful or whatever? And I've learned, Alex, it's okay. You got to accept your feelings for where they are. But you got to take a deep breath in and say, it's okay. I'm okay. I'm allowed to feel this way and acknowledge how you feel. Your feelings are valid. Wow, y'all, I feel like I was just on fire for a little bit. Yeah, you just building faith when it's hard. It's hard. Building faith when life is hard and life feels uncertain, it's hard. I'm the first one to admit it. I've lost faith in God so many times. I've strayed away so many times. I've been a bad Christian so many times. I just did it recently. Like when I tell you guys, it is hard for me. But it's all about building that resilience. And that resilience and your self-worth and your self-confidence all comes in God. You know what I mean? Like, I trust God. I know life is going to be hard. I know life is going to throw some rocks at me. I know sticks and stones are going to break my bones. I know all of that is going to happen to me. But I know God is going to come through for me. As I've seen time and time before. I almost lost my life. I've said this multiple times. The doctors told my parents she has the weekend at most. It's over for her. God said I have other plans. I've lost every important person in my life, almost every single one of them. I've had friends that I've called sisters absolutely turn their backs on me. And I've also had God replace those people with people who truly love and adore me. I've lost sight of my career. I thought I wasn't going to be able to get into college. I've gotten the bad grades. And look at me now. I have this incredible career I never would have thought I have. And I just got into a really good college on a scholarship. So God is going to be there for you. It's hard. Life is uncertain. It's going to throw rocks at you. But remember what I said about the Red Sea. He's not going to remove those problems, honey. He's not going to dry up the Red Sea, but he's going to part it. He's going to show you a way to get through it. So my Bible verse for this segment is Jeremiah 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. God knows his plans for you. You don't know him yet, but he knows, and that should be comforting enough. Won't he do it? Okay, so now that we're 24 minutes in, I feel like this has been like so good. So release. I love doing these podcasts because they feel so like this is my therapy. This is me taking care of myself, doing this with you guys. Okay, now I want to transition into our Ask Alex segment. I got a lot of questions this week, so I chose about 10. I love doing Ask Alex, and before we get into this segment, I want to say you can submit your Ask Alex questions. The link is in the bio of our Instagram account, literally at Literally My Life MGTG podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Okay, let's get into our very first question. Okay. Hi, Alex. Hey. You always seem so confident and put together on your podcast. How do you stay so positive when things don't go your way? I admire how real you are, but how do you keep pushing forward? That's so sweet. First of all, I want to say thank you. I try my best to be confident. I really do. I have times where I lose it. And I try to be put together, but if you knew me in real life, I'm actually a hot mess. I'm like the real hot mess. Forget Alex Earl. No, I'm just kidding. I love her. Okay, how do I stay positive when things don't go my way? Like I said, I have that faith in God. But it's hard. When I get rejection letters or a little setback or whatever, or a bad grade, I'm like, dang, are you for real? Like, I break down, I cry, I sit in my room, I complain, I ache, and I yawn, moan, and I do all of those things. I get really, really upset. But then I pray about it. I'm just like, I have to have faith that God's going to get me through this. You know what I mean? Because he's done it so many times before where I've just been completely hopeless and God's found a lifeline for me, or I've been in the dark for so long and then God found a light in the end of the tunnel. I mean, look at me now. I feel like you can see the glow in me compared to a couple of months ago when I was sitting on the floor in my room crying about how I had to go to a PhD. And then how do I keep pushing forward? God, and then I have to always be grateful and remember the things that I do have around me. I know that sounds really cliche, but it's something I've been working on. Gratitude is my attitude. I remember the things that I do have going for me. I have a great relationship with God. I have a beautiful family. I have friends who are crazy about me. Even though I don't have a lot of friends, I have some true, pure friends that I'm obsessed with and that are obsessed with me and will go to the ends of the earth for me. I have an amazing career. I have so much working out for me, and I just have to remember that. So gratitude is really the attitude, and prayer for sure. That was a very sweet question. Okay, next one. Hi, Alex. You're such an inspiration, especially with how you balance so many things at once. How do you handle feeling overwhelmed, especially when things aren't happening on your timeline? Well, thank you. I try to be an inspiration. I really do. I'm glad you asked me this question because I always say, especially on here and on our TikTok, I am one of those people. I'm always busy. I'm doing millions of things at once, and it's hard. It's hard when things aren't happening on your timeline or when you feel overwhelmed. One thing there are some practical ways I use to manage feeling overwhelmed, like prioritizing tasks, prayer, and then giving myself a lot of grace. And another thing is rest. So you have to realize what is important. What do I really have to get done? One thing I'm obsessed with are lists. I make lists of things that have to be done and some maybes. Like today, I was like, what has to be done today? I have to do my everything shower, my self-care routine, because that's for me. I have to clean up my room. I have to do my essays, and I have to do the podcast. And the rest of the stuff I wanted to get done are some maybes. But I prioritize my past task. And then after I'm done with this, I'm going to film a Get Unready with me. And then I'm going to take my black butt to bed because that's what's important. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what's important, not all the add-ons. So you have to prioritize your tasks for sure. When I'm really overwhelmed and I feel like my heart is heavy, I definitely reach out to God in prayer, and I definitely just say like a little silent prayer and just be like God, like relieve the stress from my heart, get me through this moment, and help me, guide me on what to do, and just help me, please, Lord, like help me. Like, you know what I mean? I do that a lot. And then I always give myself grace. Sometimes I used to be a huge people pleaser, and I used to be so upset when I couldn't please almost everybody. And now I'm like, it's important pleasing God and myself. And I just give myself grace when I can't deliver, because I can't deliver all the time. I'm human too. And you're human too. And you can do this. I promise. Okay. I love you. That was very sweet. Alex, your story about overcoming setbacks inspired me. How do you deal with the fear that you might never achieve the things you want in life? Wow, that is a powerful question. Well, I know that the things that I want in my life may not align with the things that God wants in my life. And I know that the things that God wants for me in life are much greater than things that I can imagine. So knowing that I'm going to walk down his road instead of mine is much more comforting. And that really helps me. But it sounds like this question is kind of rooted in self-doubt, right? And I wanted to talk about that, okay? My biggest thing with overcoming self-doubt, like your question is kind of giving me or portraying, is one, finding your comfort in God and your confidence in God, and then doing practical things like journaling your fears. I used to be very self-conscious. I used to have a lot of self-doubt. I used to really feel like an imposter. I dealt with a lot of imposter syndrome, especially after starting the podcast. And I used to have these kind of questions kind of deal with, like, what if it never happens for me? What if the podcast never takes off? What if I never become the next big thing? What if this never happens for me? What if this, what if this, what if this? But like I said, I just trust that no matter what happens, my plan, well, not my plan, God's plan is bigger and better than I can ever imagine. And I know that for what is going to happen, whether it's things I want, things God wants, or things we both want, I'm going to be able to do it because I'm worthy. I'm fearfully and I'm wonderfully made. I can do anything I put my mind to, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Okay. Girl, you are such a vibe. What's one lesson you learned from your past relationships that's helped you move forward? I talked about this on TikTok the other day. I made a TikTok and I have to respond to a comment on there, but it basically said life. Let me read it, actually. Let me actually pull up our TikTok, guys, and read it to you guys because I thought of this TikTok. Wait, my TikTok's not loading. Sorry. It said basically life gets so much easier when you realize people's actions are a reflection of them and not you. And I want to go into that and talk about that a little deeper now, especially since somebody asked me to explain. When people decide to, when you come into a relationship, right, and you have nothing but pure intentions and a genuine heart and you just want to love this person and it's shown, and people decide to either A, cheat on you or throw you away or treat you like crap, and this can be in a romantic relationship, a platonic friendship, or any kind of relationship you have with a person, and somebody decides to do that to you, it's a reflection of them and not you. Now, you obviously are going to think to yourself, what? Well, like, why did this person not want me? Or why did this person not choose me? Or I did everything I could. And why? Like, what is wrong with me? Me. It's not you. It's not you. Their action is a much bigger reflection on them and not you. Because I know that if somebody came into my life and wanted to show me some genuine love and cared for me, I would absolutely accept that because I know I'm worthy of it. But a person who declines that, pushes you away, hurts you purposefully after you've done nothing but love them, they obviously feel like they are not worthy of it. And that's why I said their actions are more reflections of them. Like, you are not a problem for being loving, or for being genuine. You know what I mean? Like, you know what's the problem? Them feeling like they're not worthy of your love. And that's one thing that's really helped me. I used to have really low self-esteem. Like, why did this guy push me away? Or why did this guy not pick me? Or why wouldn't he date me or whatever? Because I've done everything I could and I was so great to him, and then he just pushed me away, or he hurt me, or he cheated on me, or he decided to just break us off. And I realized it's not me. It had nothing to do with me and everything to do with a guy who is emotionally immature and broken, who feels that he's not worthy of true love. So remember that. Okay. Hi, Alex. Hi. You're so good at motivating others, Alex. Thank you. What do you do when you need motivation yourself? And do you ever feel stuck, and how do you snap out of it? Okay. Well, when I need motivation myself, I definitely, say a great prayer, read my Bible, do all of that great stuff. But I also listen to a lot of like hype music. I am kind of a fan of secular music, but I'm trying to pull away from it because I feel like it's a bad influence. Like, I feel like music has a lot of like subliminals, and I could really go into that one. But I also listen to a lot of like hype music, like, yes, I'm that girl, like, I can do it, like, look at me, like, I'm that girl. I don't know, I feel like that music can really hype you up and be like, yes, like, I am her, like, I think it's kind of good for you. But secular music, you shouldn't listen to too much of it. You can't OD on it. You have to balance it with some gospel out of there. What else do? I lean on routines or affirmations. Like, I say to myself, so loved, you're so worthy, you're deserving of every opportunity that's coming your way. And then I definitely talk to trusted friends or family or mentors when I need to recharge. I'm not ashamed of that at all. I'll go to my therapist and be like, girl, I am not feeling myself. I'm so unconfident. I'm feeling so lonely. What am I going to do, girl? And then my therapist or my mentor or my best friend or whoever will sit there and kind of help me recharge and remind me, like, girl, you're that girl. Like, you can do this. I'm so proud of you. You're so loved and you can do this. And there are times I definitely do feel stuck. I think for the first 8 months of this podcast, I was stuck in an ever constant cycle of hating myself, and I was a very toxic person. And I snapped out of it by the grace of God, just by realizing that things get better. Now, I've been in funks before. I recently got myself out of a really bad one. And the best way to snap out of it, other than using religion, is to realize who you are. You know, you may think, oh, I'm the worst or whatever, but what do you really get out of hating yourself? That's the biggest thing that helped me snap out of that mindset, or snap out of the funk or feeling stuck. What do you get out of hating yourself? What do you get out of doubting yourself? What do you get out of that? Like, what do you get out of all that negative self-talk? You get nothing but being a miserable person to be around and acting miserable and living a miserable life. There's no great outcome out of hating yourself. And so I decided to do a 360 turn and love myself unconditionally the way God loves me. And it feels so much more freeing, and I feel so much lighter and so much better about myself and everything going on. So that is my biggest piece of advice. And thank you for that question. That was very sweet. Alex, you've been through so much, and it's clear you've grown so much because of it. Thank you. What advice would you give to your younger self about waiting on God's plan? Wow. There are versions of myself I want to talk to. I want to talk to like 6-year-old me, and then I want to talk to 13-year-old me. And I would tell them both that God has a way for you. Things are not going to go the way that you want them to, and you're going to be a little disappointed at first. But God has a way for you. And you have to stay patient, and you have to stay faithful, and you have to stay trusting that everything will work out in His time. Absolutely. You know, when I first was testing and doing the selective enrollment, I didn't get into Whitney Young. Whitney Young was the school I really wanted to go to. And I went to Shy Arts for a year, and I really worked on my craft and my academics. And I just remember praying and being like, God, like, please let me get into Whitney Young. Please let me get into Whitney Young. In hindsight, don't know if that was the best prayer. No, I'm kidding. I love Whitney Young. It's great. And then I got in the next year, and I've spent the last 3 years there really getting to know myself and having everything, my life just kind of change around, and it's been amazing. So yeah, that's a great example of it. Just stay patient, stay faithful, and trust that everything will work out on time. Okay. Alex, your story about building your brand really inspires me. How do you handle setbacks or moments when things don't seem to go viral or take off as planned? Wow. Well, one thing I do is I stay consistent. I've had one really viral interview that over like 65,000 people saw. Not going to talk about it. And then the rest of them have done like, okay, they've gotten like 2,000 views or whatever. And I've felt a little discouraged about that. I'm like, oh my God, like, why don't people want to watch my interviews with other people? Like, why do people only want to watch that one interview? Or why do I have to be labeled to that one thing or that one incident? Like, why? And the thing with me is I'm like, you know, I'm just going to keep trying. I'm going to keep interviewing. I'm going to keep going places. I'm going to keep posting. I'm going to stay consistent with my goals. Despite the low views or the negative feedback or whatever, I'm still going to stay consistent. And then another thing I'm doing is I'm celebrating my small wins. Whenever I get a little brand deal, or whenever I get like a good amount of views, or whenever anything happens, I just celebrate a little. I'm just like, Alex, you did a good job. Thank you, Jesus. Right? You know what I mean? And I just always remember that God has a bigger plan for me. Like, you know, it's not going to happen maybe overnight. It maybe won't happen this year or this month or whatever, but it's going to happen. And that just helps me. Thank you. That was a sweet question. Alex, you're such a role model. Thank you. What's one Bible verse or quote that you hold on to when you're going through a tough time? Romans, I think it's chapter 8, verse 28. And it's like, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him or obey Him. It's one of the two. And that's so true. Like, when I remember that I'm going through something and I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm so hurt or whatever, and I'm going through this, I remember, you know what, I have a good heart, I have good intentions, I'm a good person, I have a great character, I have something I can definitely brag about, and I know God is going to work it out for me because of how much I love Him and how much I trust Him. So that's one thing I definitely love. It's one of my favorite Bible verses. Number 9, Alex, you're glowing in every way. What's one thing you remind yourself of when you start to feel insecure or doubt your worth? Wow. I remind myself that I'm like fearless. I don't know. I pretend. That's my biggest thing. I pretend. On those days when I get up and I feel less powerful or less fearless, I get up and I pretend. I put on this mask, I put on my makeup, I do my hair, I put on my best outfit, and I pretend. I have moments, I definitely just got through a moment in time where I felt very insecure, felt like I was like not going to do anything. I was very doubtful of myself and what was coming ahead of me. And I was able to get past that and remind myself by pretending that I can do this. Another thing I really focused on was prayer and self-love and uplifting activities to like kind of like boost my confidence and realign my values. You know what I mean? Like I prayed a lot. I did things for myself. Like I said, one of my non-negotiables has been a lot of self-care, like the facials, and I went and got my nails done, and aren't they so cute? And just doing stuff for Alex, you know what I mean? Just those uplifting activities, journaling, staying in my word, staying on the podcast, doing the social media, doing those things that make me happy and doing those things for me. And when you feel insecure, you start to doubt your worth, always remember, this is one of my favorite ones, is that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Like, you are absolutely amazing and you can do this. 10. Alex, your story of resilience after everything you went through last year inspires me so much. How did you manage to stay strong and keep your faith during that time? When I was sick, it was really hard because I thought I was done for. It was very difficult. And I just remember kind of like laying on my back and praying to God. I think I've shared this before. Just kind of like laying on my back and praying to God, like, God, if you just bring me through this, I'll change my life around. Or God, can you just help me get through this one time? Like, I can't do it anymore. And I just remember crying and confessing and repenting and just being so heartbroken, and God bringing me through and God helping me. You know what I mean? It was hard. It was definitely hard to have faith during that time. I was broken down completely. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. I was struggling to breathe. I was like completely, I couldn't function. And it was so hard to keep my faith at that time. But when I started to see that little bit of improvement day by day and saw that I was getting better, I knew God was working in my favor in every single way. And I feel like even if I didn't improve, I would like to think I would have seen God working in my favor too. And I had a whole like community of people who were helping me persevere through my health struggles. My dad never left me a day during my hospital stay. My dad didn't leave me a minute. If I was uncomfortable in the night, my dad would wake up in the middle of the night and come help me. I had a whole community of people, and I was really grateful for that. My mom took care of me every day before my hospital stay. She made all my meals. She cleaned up our house. She did all my laundry. She washed my hair for me. My mother was my best friend, and I had a whole community of support. I didn't get through that on my own at all. I had God, and I had my parents, and I had my true friends, and I had a little bit of faith. Okay. I love doing Ask Alex. Like I said, if you guys want to submit your Ask Alex questions, the link is in our Instagram bio. It's a Google form, and I absolutely love doing these. I hope I was able to help you guys out with these questions that you had. These were some great questions. I love being like open and honest and kind of like opening up about my life with you guys. And I love you guys so much. That was a really great segment. Now, that was really great. I'm like kind of on a high from that. Now I'm going to talk about reframing my girlhood story, okay? One thing I really, really, really want to emphasize is that every girl's journey is unique, and it doesn't need to follow a specific blueprint. As somebody in journalism and as somebody who aspires to be a media personality, I definitely have inspirations. Like, I definitely look up to people. I definitely have role models. And then you think like, oh my God, well, this girl who's doing the same thing that I was doing was on TV at 17, or this girl who's doing the same thing that I was doing, she blew up by now, or she was able to do this by now, or whatever. And I'm like, my journey is unique. I don't need to follow a specific blueprint to get where I need to be, because I know things are going to work out. You know what I mean? And that's the same thing with you. Your journey is unique. You are not like the people around you. So stop comparing you to the people around you. You are a special individual and a beautiful human being, and you're unique, and you don't need to follow a specific blueprint in order for things to be fine. Like, you know what I mean? You know, my story of strength, of resilience, of faith, it's still unfolding. Life is still changing every day. My life is evolving all the time. I'm still making new friends. I'm still making mistakes. I'm still falling and getting up. I'm still growing. More than anyone, do not have it all figured out. But I have confidence in knowing that it will get figured out and I will get there. If it takes 20 years, it takes 20 years. I will get there. I will not give up until I win. I won't stop until I win. I will get up every day and I will work my butt off. I will work harder and harder and harder until I win. You know what I mean? And that's how you just have to think about it. You don't have to feel lost or confused because it hasn't happened for you yet. Have confidence in knowing it's going to happen. God is saying to you, it is going to happen for you. It may not happen tomorrow, it may not happen next month, it may not happen in the next 6 months, it may not happen in the next 6 years, but it's going to happen. You are going to get everything that you deserve. The career, the relationship, the family, the house, the car, the kids. You are going to get everything you deserve and more. More than you can ever imagine. It's just still unfolding. You just have to remember it is going to happen. We don't know when, we don't know how. We just got to put our trust in God because it's going to happen. Okay? Embrace your individual timeline. Okay? I embrace that it's taken me longer to get here. I embrace that it happened my senior year of high school. Would I have loved to have figured everything out and been doing this since my freshman year and have more experience under my belt? Absolutely. Do I wish I had all the wisdom of my experiences at 14 without the trauma of experiencing them? Absolutely. But I'm happy, even though there were all the setbacks and all the bumps in the road and all the trauma, I was able to get through it. I was able to move past it. I was able to be where I'm able to be where I am today. And that's the most glorious gift. You know, I've been focusing more on progression, not perfection. You hear that and you're like, well, that's corny. And I know I've been saying a lot of corny stuff this episode. Okay, but it's so true. I've been focusing on the things that I've gotten done. Like, I've had these great interviews. I have this social media career. I'm still doing the podcast every week. I still am inspiring people. I'm still working every single day to get where I need to be. I'm focusing on the progress I'm making in real time, not the progress that Lala Anthony made at my age. Just like a random example or the perfect example. I'm just not thinking about it. I'm focusing on what Alex Elamina is doing and how Alex Elamina is doing. And I'm not comparing myself to the people around me because comparison is the thief of joy. Comparing yourself to people around you or people who seem to have it all figured out is just going to rob you of your joy. A lot of people tell that to me. They're like, oh my God, Alex, like you look like, I just got in our question, like, you look like you have it all figured out, or you're so inspiring, or how you're so put together. No, I'm not. I fall down all the time. I cry all the time. I get set back all the time. I sin, I cry, I repent, and I sin again. I fall down all the time. So when people compare themselves to me, I'm like, me? Of all people? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm getting up every day and I'm airballing, babe. I'm freestyling. Like, I don't even write down my raps, babe. Like, I'm definitely not all put together. I'm definitely figuring out like every other person. But that's why I'm saying comparison is such a thief of joy, because if you compare yourself to somebody who looks like they have it all together, you're just robbing yourself of the joy, when in reality, I'm just like everyone. I'm just like you, babe. Like, I don't have it figured out either. You know what I mean? Okay. And for our final segment, I really want to focus on something, because this is literally my life. And I really want to focus on self-confidence for this last segment. This is something that I'm kind of adding in because it wasn't in our outline. I'm just going to add it in. I'm going to even take my glasses off and we're going to get real emotional and raw. Okay. Recently I've dealt with a lot of people, and I'm definitely going to have an episode about this because it's something I just really want to talk about. For years now, I've always had people kind of question me or talk about me or say things about me and my life and the choices that I make or the people that I date or how I look or whatever. I've always been kind of like front page news, and it's been very uncomfortable for me. And I'm not going to get too deep into it. It's like going to be a whole episode. It's going to be a whole thing I'm planning, which I'm excited to do. But it's definitely been a lot. And for a while, I lost my confidence, or I lost my spark, because it was like, I cannot be this great of a person and I'm continuing to hear everything bad about me. Every person, mostly people that I don't know, has a story about me or the way I am or the way I look or the way I've acted in certain situations. I can't be this wonderful person that I think that I am if everyone else around me is saying, like, not even around me, everyone else like in the shadows is like, but I heard this, but I heard this, but I heard that. It's like, oh my God, like I must be awful, or it made me doubt myself. And then I realized that's what they want. That's what the devil wants. Like, that's what Satan wants. He wants you to hear those whispers and to focus on that and to focus on what people are saying or what they're seeing. You know what I mean? Like, focus on what people are saying about you. People who don't know you, who don't know your heart, who don't know your character, who don't know your intentions, who don't know anything about you, but focus on what they're saying about you versus the people who know you and love you and have no negative things to say about you. And for a while, I really lost my funk. And I want to tell you guys this because I want to share it because I love sharing things with you guys. I've had a girl, known her for about 2 years. We go to school together. Girl hates my guts. Never liked me. And I'm always like, wow, why is she so mean? I mean, she said so many nasty things about me. Anything that had ever happened with me, she's like my own personal like paparazzi. She'll run and find a way to talk about it. She just doesn't like me. And I've always just felt so kind of unbothered about it, but it's kind of been relentless. And I've been kind of tired of the way that it's been ongoing. Well, I mustered up the courage one day because I'm a Christian, not a doormat, to go up to her and ask her about it. And I'm not saying that's the right thing to do in your situation, pray on it, but that's what I was hearing. I don't know what voice, but baby, that was what I was hearing. Because I ran up to her and I was very calm about it. And I was like, let's just have an adult conversation. It doesn't have to be a confrontational moment. Kind of did escalate into that, but it wasn't that bad. And I was able to stand up for myself. And standing up for myself really brought back my confidence and really was able to make me think like, I don't really care about what people say about me anymore. I really don't. It was like a moment of realization, like standing up to her and being like, I don't care what you think about me because you don't know a thing about me. Your of me is probably rooted in jealousy. And to talk about somebody who doesn't know you for 2 years and then I'm right here and you won't say it to me shows how sad you are as a person. And I don't have to listen to you because you don't know a thing about me, so you can't judge me as a character. And then it just came into this real big realization. I don't care what people have to say about me anymore. I care what God has to say, and I care what the people around me have to say and what I have to say. I don't care what the public or the media or whatever has to say about Alex Elman. I care about what God and my friends and my family and the people that care about me and I have to say about Alex Elman. And I've heard nothing but good things, and that's reassured my confidence so much. You know what I mean? Like when I talk to my mom or when I talk to my dad or my best friend and they're like, you know what, I love you and you do such a good job at this and you always make people feel welcomed and always make people feel happy and I feel so safe and you're so tender and you're so loving. When I hear those things from people that know me and love me, it really helped reassure and get my head back on straight and be like, I'm not this person that I was being portrayed to be. And it really, really helped boost my confidence, guys. Now, I'm not saying confronting her was the best idea, but I'm glad I did it because I'm like a nice person, but like you get me there, I'm going to hit you with like the 2-finger and the bob combo. Like, who are you talking to? Because girl, who do you think I am? It feels good. It feels good. Yeah. I definitely struggle with self-confidence and self-doubt all the time. I feel like I come off as a really confident or fearless person and I come off as like not as emotionally vulnerable as I actually am. And that's one thing I really want to break the barrier off as saying like, I definitely get insecure and I definitely fall down, but I'm not going to let my insecurity be rooted in people who don't know me anymore. That's kind of like the point of this. That's not going to happen anymore. Okay, guys. Thank you guys for here. Let me put my glasses back on so I can see you as we wave goodbye. I want to give a little recap on our key takeaways before I leave you guys. And I want to just leave you guys with these points and that life's delays don't mean denials. Trusting God leads to peace and purpose. And you are worthy, loved, and right where you're meant to be. Want to do it? Let's say some affirmations. Let's say this affirmation before we go. Okay, take a deep breath in. And then repeat after me. I'm on the right path, even if I can't see the destination yet. I trust in God's plan for my life. Okay, we'll say it all together at one time. I am on the right path, even if I can't see the destination yet. I trust in God's plan for my life. I'm on the right path, even if I can't see the destination yet. I trust in God's plan for my life. Guys, today's episode was amazing. I love you guys. I love doing these episodes. This has been absolutely incredible. I want to thank everybody who listens every week and who reads our newsletter and who follows us on Instagram and on TikTok. And if you don't, please do it and subscribe to our newsletter. The links are in our episode description. And I would just want to thank everybody who listens and who submits to Ask Alex and listens to like me and rant and all my advice and all that stuff. And I love you all. This podcast has in a way saved my life, and I've never been more grateful to have a community like you all. And with that, I want to wrap this episode up of Literally My Life, My Guide to Girlhood, and I will see you guys next Monday. Have a good one.